Hello everyone and welcome to the Gunpla Network. I'm the Spicer and today's review of the SD Force Impulse Gundam comes to you courtesy of Canadian Gundam. Canadian Gundam is your one-stop shop for all your Gunpla and Plamo needs here in North America. When you're checking their catalog and placing your next order, don't forget to use the promo code Gunpla Network for 10% off. Starting us off, the box art is pretty standard but still very good. We have a nice little action pose, or at least as actionable as the SD line allows for, and it looks pretty easily to reproduce this pose with the model kit. If we look in a little closer detail, not only is this very high resolution, but we also do get a nice little shot of Rei Zaburel's custom Zaku and Lunamaria Hawke's custom Zaku. As we move to the side of the box, we have the gimmicks, which really just equates to the core splendor, which is unpainted unfortunately, but it is neat that it's there. The top has a continuation of the same box art we saw at the very beginning on the front of the box, and then the other side of the box, of course, is going to give us the warnings. Inside the box, once we've cracked it open, the A1 plate is molded entirely in white, which will make up the vast majority of the Gundam itself. The A2 plate is multicolored, so it'll have white, blue, red, and yellow on it, making up pretty much the rest of everything else. The B plate will also have pretty much all of the backpack parts, the weapons, and then the shield. We also have a large sticker sheet, which is not really that surprising for an SD kit, but there seems to be a lot of folds, so we'll see how that carries through. Could be good, could be bad. We also have the manual, which looks really good. Nothing too crazy, it's pretty standard. We also have some PC pieces that I didn't include because we've all seen PC joints. And once it's all put together, it looks like a pretty faithful rendition of the Force Impulse. Of course, there will be some missing color apps that you'll notice immediately, mostly on the chest and the front of the front skirt armor, and then a little bit on the legs, but that's not really that crazy for an SD kit. It's pretty standard fare. Most of the stickers fit very well, especially up on the shoulders. They seem to be cut very well and seem to stick quite well. The one thing I will say these stickers are kind of disappointing on, outside of the number of them, is the red is a metallic red, which normally I wouldn't be all that against, but it clashes quite badly with the red that's molded in plastic for this. Now, had that metallic plastic only appeared on the backpack and the shield, which if they'd have just molded the parts of the backpack that are red in a different color, I don't think I would have minded as much, because none of the red stickers go on the Force Impulse Gundam itself. But unfortunately, there are just regular red molded pieces on the backpack, so it does make it a lot more noticeable, and it is quite weird. I don't know why they made that choice. It looks okay if the coloration of the plastic was closer, but they chose to go a different way. I'm not sure, maybe they had similar stickers to it. I'm not really sure what the thought process was, but as much as I may dislike the coloration, I do have to say they fit quite well. None of the stickers on this that I really have an issue with. All of them are cut in the right spot and fit very well to the kit. The only one I'd say was a little iffy was the light blue one on the chest. Now, I do want to take a second to say this is an SD kit, so we really can't go in to grade it the same way we would even something like a high grade. Color accuracy on these is notoriously off. You're not going to get a lot of plastic coloration that's accurate, and the SDs typically, once you put some love into them, will repay you quite well. And they make good desk decorations, right? The SD kits are not really for your crazy top-of-the-line modeler. They're more for someone who just wants a quick, easy build that looks pretty good right out of box. You don't have to do too much to it. But if you throw a little paint and a little love into it, it's gonna look really good. Just a little black and a little gray on this would go a long way. Filling in the front of the vents, adding a little bit more coloration to those yellow parts there. Painting up the Vulcans in the chest, painting the little yellow V, color correcting the front skirt armor with a little dark blue and a little gray. even if you got a different color blue, you could kind of go more for like a real grade style two-tone coloration and it'd still work pretty well, especially because there's already multiple shades of blue on the kit. You can do some touch up on the legs. Of course, the legs are probably the least noticeable thing on the kit, so I wouldn't blame you if you didn't. You do have some pretty decent panel lining opportunities here and there, nothing too crazy. Generally speaking, these are pretty standard out of the box and they look good. The one thing I do have to say about this line, the SD line, is the heads, even though they're really, really big and, you know, that's kind of the point of this style, they typically all around look good. Like if you wanted to just put this, just the head as like a Gundam head on a shelf for a display, it works. It looks good. It's not too ridiculously proportioned that it wouldn't work for something like that. But that is one of the nice things about the SD line, is they have a lot of options in terms of supplementing an existing assortment on your shelf as opposed to being the centerpiece. So whether you just want the Gundam head, you want just the base version to kind of sit there in front of everything else, or maybe sit on your desk if you don't want model kits on your desk, or maybe like master grades are too lumbering and real grades are too sensitive, you don't have to worry about this. It's small, it's compact, it's out of the way, and it's pretty stable. The tops of the wing parts I did have some issues with falling off. The peg isn't really held in there super well, but generally speaking, if this falls over or gets knocked over, it's not really going to do a lot of damage to it. Now, in terms of accessories, it's pretty bare, just like its real grade cousin was. You get a beam rifle, an unpainted beam saber, two beam saber hilts that you can't actually plug the saber into because it's one molded piece, and then you get a shield. Pretty standard, nothing crazy, exactly what you'd expect with the Force Impulse. I would, say painting up the beam saber if you're going to go for something a little more dynamic and eye-catching for a display is going to be better. The guns, especially a lot of the weapons for the SD line, just appear really thin, which I guess is probably somewhat in scale, but it's hit and miss. Some people like them. I'm not particularly fond of them, but I do like the scaling of the beam saber. It feels like it matches significantly more than the beam rifle does. The shield kind of follows along the beam saber or beam rifle route. It feels very thin. It does have two colors of plastic, which is kind of impressive. I'm kind of surprised this wasn't just one singular piece of plastic. But the stickers that go on it are once again that metallic red. The white looks fine. That's not a big deal. It matches the other white stickers on the kit and is pretty close to the coloration of the plastic. But you get the metallic red again, and I just want them to not use metallic red because there's already red on the mobile suit and the backpack. It's just, it's not a big deal, but it's nitpicky, and just every time I see it, it catches my eye and bothers me. Generally speaking, though, the SD Force Impulse is great for what it is. You aren't going to go into this expecting the level of complexity of even like a newer high grade. It's very straightforward, it's very simple, it's a very quick and easy build that you can have a lot of fun with. And if you want to practice any methods of like painting or even like light scribing or something, you have enough space on some pretty big areas, say like the shoulders or portions of the backpack, that you can work with. And a lot of times when you put love into the SD line, they give it right back and can be very interesting looking on your shelf, providing a aesthetic that most other lines aren't going to give you. Well, it is definitely not its real grade cousin. It does serve its purpose in a display. It is bigger, it is chunkier in some aspects, but it is something that will stand out and make a nice little addition to your full Force Impulse or Gundam Seed Destiny shelf. If you're picking up any form of the Force Impulse, say the real grade or the master grade or even the high grade, this wouldn't be a bad thing to throw in your cart to add to the display of just a little extra goofy fun. I've been the Spicer for the Gunpla Network. This has been my review of the SD Force Impulse Gundam. As always, friends, stay safe and keep on building.